Most people assume that getting older means slowing down, that the body simply declines, that the brain fades, that energy, strength, and sharpness are things that belong to younger people. The research tells a completely different story. There is a small group of people between the ages of 65 and 80 who are physically stronger, mentally sharper, and biologically younger than most people half their age. Scientists have studied them, doctors have examined them, and what separates them from everyone else is not genetics. It is not luck. It is not expensive medication. It is 6 specific habits. Habits that most seniors have quietly abandoned without realizing what they gave up. I am Dr. James, and today I am going to walk you through all 6. If you are still doing these things, you are already in the top 1% of aging adults in this country. And if you have stopped, today is the day to start again. Everything I share today comes from research published in the New England Journal of Medicine, Nature Aging, the Journal of the American Geriatric Society, and the Harvard School of Public Health. These are findings from decades of longitudinal research on healthy aging, and the habits I am about to share are the ones that consistently appear in the lives of people who age extraordinarily well. Before we start, tell me in the comments, how old are you right now, and which of these 6 habits do you think you are still doing consistently? I read every single comment, and I want to know where you stand before we go through the list together. Habit number 6. Number 6 is the simplest habit on this list, and the one most commonly underestimated. You walk every single day. Not a structured gym workout, not a 5-mile run, simply walking consistently every day, regardless of weather or energy level. The research on daily walking and longevity in seniors is among the most robust in all of medicine. A landmark study published in the New England Journal of Medicine followed 73,743 postmenopausal women and found that walking just 30 minutes per day was associated with a 30% reduction in cardiovascular events. A separate analysis in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that seniors who walked daily had a 34% lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease over a 10-year follow-up period. But the benefits extend beyond heart and brain health. Daily walking preserves the density of the cartilage in your knees and hips, the tissue that cushions your joints. It maintains the strength of the stabilizing muscles around your ankles that prevent falls. It regulates blood sugar by improving insulin sensitivity in muscle tissue, and it stimulates the production of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein your brain uses to grow new neural connections and maintain cognitive sharpness. Seniors in the top 1% of healthy aging are not necessarily the ones going to the gym 5 days a week. They are the ones who never stopped walking. Every single day, rain or shine, 20 to 40 minutes. That consistency, sustained over years and decades, produces biological outcomes that no medication can replicate. If you are still walking every day, you are already doing something that the majority of your peers have stopped doing. That matters more than most people realize. Habit number 5. Number 5 is a habit that directly determines whether you keep your muscle, your strength, your balance, and your independence as you age. You eat protein at every single meal, not just dinner. After the age of 60, the body's ability to synthesize muscle protein from dietary protein declines significantly. This process is called anabolic resistance, and it means that an older adult needs more protein per meal than a younger adult to produce the same muscle-building response. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that seniors require a minimum of 25 to 40 grams of high-quality protein per meal to maximally stimulate muscle protein synthesis, significantly more than the amounts found in a typical light breakfast or lunch. The consequences of inadequate protein intake in seniors are severe and largely invisible until they become impossible to ignore. Muscle loss, called sarcopenia, occurs at a rate of 3 to 5% per decade after age 30, accelerating dramatically after 60. Sarcopenia is the primary driver of the physical frailty, balance problems, and fall risk that most people attribute simply to old age. Seniors in the top 1% of healthy aging are almost universally people who prioritize protein at every meal. Eggs and Greek yogurt at breakfast, chicken, fish, or legumes at lunch, a substantial protein source at dinner, cottage cheese or a small amount of meat as an evening snack. They do not skip meals. They do not eat light. They understand intuitively or through experience that their muscle is their independence and that protein is what maintains it. If you are currently eating 25 or more grams of protein at every meal, you are doing something that research consistently shows separates the healthy, independent seniors from those who lose their strength and mobility in their 70s. Habit number 4. Number 4 is a habit that modern culture has deeply devalued and that the top 1% of healthy seniors treat as non-negotiable. You prioritize sleep. You protect it. You go to bed at a consistent time. You give yourself 7 to 8 hours, and you treat anything that disrupts it as a problem worth solving rather than a normal part of aging. The research on sleep and aging is unambiguous. A 2021 study published in Nature Aging followed nearly 8,000 adults over 25 years and found that consistently sleeping less than 6 hours per night in midlife and older adulthood was associated with a 30% higher risk of developing dementia. A separate analysis in the Journal of Sleep Research found that poor sleep quality in seniors was associated with accelerated biological aging, meaning that the cells of poor sleepers were measurably older at the molecular level than those of people who slept well. During deep sleep, the brain performs a process called glymphatic clearance, essentially a biological washing cycle in which cerebrospinal fluid flushes through brain tissue and removes the metabolic waste products that accumulate during the day. Chief among these waste products is amyloid beta, the protein that builds up in Alzheimer's disease. Seniors who consistently get adequate deep sleep are clearing this protein nightly. Those who do not are allowing it to accumulate. Seniors in the top 1% do not brag about how little sleep they need. They protect their sleep the way they protect any other health priority. They keep the bedroom cool and dark. They maintain a consistent bedtime even on weekends. They address sleep problems rather than tolerating them. And their brains, at 75 and 80, show measurably less amyloid accumulation than those of their peers who sleep poorly. If you are someone who takes sleep seriously and protects it consistently, you are doing something profoundly important for the long-term health of your brain. We are halfway through, and I want to know, how many of these 4 habits are you still doing consistently? Tell me in the comments right now. And if this is resonating with you, hit the like button. It helps this reach more seniors who need to hear it. The final 3 habits are the ones that most dramatically separate the top 1% from everyone else. Let us keep going. Habit number 3. Number 3 is a habit that our culture rarely frames as a health behavior, but that decades of research consistently identify as one of the most powerful predictors of how long you live and how well your brain functions as you age. You maintain strong, regular, meaningful social connections. A landmark analysis published in PLOS Medicine examined data from 148 separate studies involving more than 300,000 participants and found that people with strong social relationships had a 50% higher likelihood of survival compared to those who were socially isolated. The effect size was comparable to quitting smoking and stronger than the effect of physical activity, obesity, or blood pressure. For the brain specifically, social engagement provides something that no supplement or medication can replicate. Every conversation requires your brain to process language, read emotional cues, retrieve memories, and generate appropriate responses in real time. This continuous cognitive demand maintains neural connectivity in ways that solitary activities simply cannot match. Seniors in the top 1% are not necessarily the most extroverted people in the room, but they are consistently connected. They have regular contact with family, they maintain friendships, they belong to a community, a church, a club, a volunteer organization, a walking group. They have people who know them, check on them, and engage with them regularly. And that connection, sustained over decades, produces measurable protection against cognitive decline, depression, and early mortality. If you are someone who actively maintains your relationships and your community connections, even when it requires effort, even when it would be easier to stay home, you are doing something that research consistently identifies as life-extending. Habit number 2. Number 2 is a habit that the top 1% of healthy seniors practice with the same consistency and intentionality that others apply to physical exercise. You deliberately challenge your brain every single day with something that requires genuine mental effort. Not passive consumption, not watching television or scrolling through social media, active cognitive engagement, learning something new, solving a problem, reading material that requires concentration, playing a strategy game, practicing a musical instrument, engaging in a craft or skill that demands focus and fine motor coordination. Research published in Neurology followed 1,903 seniors for 5 years and found that those who engaged in cognitively stimulating activities daily had a 32% lower risk of developing dementia compared to those with low levels of mental engagement. More significantly, a concept called cognitive reserve, the brain's resilience against damage, is directly built by this kind of deliberate mental challenge throughout life. Seniors with high cognitive reserve can sustain significant neurological changes without those changes manifesting as symptoms. The activities that build the most cognitive reserve are those that combine learning with social interaction and physical coordination simultaneously. Learning a new language, taking up a musical instrument, joining a book club, learning to paint or draw, playing chess or bridge with other people. These activities engage multiple brain networks simultaneously and build the neural redundancy that makes the aging brain more resistant to decline. If you are someone who actively seeks out mental challenges, who reads, learns, creates, and engages, rather than defaulting to passive entertainment, you are building a biological reserve that protects your brain in ways that most people your age are not. Habit number 1. And number 1. The single most powerful predictor of exceptional aging that researchers have identified consistently across cultures, countries, and decades of study. You have a clear and meaningful sense of purpose. You know why you get out of bed in the morning, and that reason extends beyond yourself. Japanese researchers studying the extraordinarily long-lived population of Okinawa identified a concept called ikigai, a Japanese term meaning your reason for being. The people who lived longest and remained sharpest were not necessarily the ones with the best diets or the most exercise. They were the ones who woke up every morning with something to do that mattered to them and to others. Western research has confirmed this finding repeatedly. A study published in JAMA Psychiatry followed 1,546 older adults and found that those with a strong sense of purpose had a 2.4 times lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. A separate analysis in psychological science found that purpose was associated with longer telomeres, the protective caps on your DNA that determine biological aging rate, meaning that people with strong purpose were biologically younger at the cellular level than those without it. Purpose in seniors takes many forms: grandchildren, a garden, volunteering, a creative practice, a community role, a cause they believe in, a skill they are passing on to others. What matters is not the form it takes, but the genuine sense that your presence and your contribution matter, that the world is in some small or large way better because you are in it. If you wake up each morning with a reason that pulls you forward, with people who need you, with work that matters to you, with a role that gives your days meaning, you possess the single most powerful longevity factor that science has been able to identify. And that is something no pill, no supplement, and no medical intervention can provide. 6 habits: daily walking, protein at every meal, sleep treated as medicine, strong social connections, deliberate brain challenge, and a sense of purpose that gets you out of bed. If you are still doing all 6, you are genuinely in the top 1% of how humans age. If you have drifted from some of them, you now know exactly where to begin. Leave me a comment telling me which of these 6 you are strongest in and which one you want to rebuild. I read every single one. And if this video made you think of someone in your life who is aging exceptionally well, or someone who needs to hear this, please share it with them today. I am Dr. James. Stay sharp. I will see you in the next one.